All right, lads. We're back. I'm just going to keep on saying that. I'm going to keep on saying that every single time. We're back.
You know, it's like,
After
hey,
a little
lads, at this
3-week
point
break.
now. You know, it's part of the
Yeah.
routine.
Literally. We just got back from watching the Stephen King adaptation. Never read the book. Me and Gavin were talking about, Stephen King as an author and everything. He's read most of his stuff, but I'm super fascinated of how many Stephen King movies are coming out nowadays. I mean, it's probably only 2 that I can think of off of The Running Man and this.
Well,
but I'm sure
and
there's
you've got
plenty
the
more
TV
coming
show
out.
for It as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's another Stephen. I mean, it's
the
not a
third
movie,
adaptation.
but it's like it's a prequel technically. But yes, the third adaptation of Stephen King's It, if you will.
Oh my God. But we got back from watching The Long Walk, and we saw the trailer for this movie, and we were instantly, I remember me and you both were captivated, and we wanted to go see this. I thought it was a great concept, and I was super hyped to go see this movie. And I made a joke a little bit. I was like, are we really going to watch a movie where people walk for an hour and a half? But at the end of the day, it was a really good movie. I didn't think it was the best Stephen King adaptation I've ever seen, and I'm not a huge Stephen King fan or anything, but you can tell that his writing definitely benefited this movie. And I think if it was written by anybody else, or if the writing material was taken by anybody else, this movie would not work at all whatsoever. The first thing I want to talk about is the character development and the writing. The writing was so good. And it was so good in certain moments. And, you think going in, I'm going to be suspensed and everything. And that's what's going to carry the movie. The horror is going to carry the movie. The intensity of, whatever is a part of this long walk and how mysterious this is, and kind of this apocalyptic world, post-war World War world. I'm intrigued by it, but realistically for me, I loved the character development in this between all of the characters in this. I think that was a huge strength of this film. There are intense moments, and there are moments where I'm immediately pulled into the movie and pulled into the universe of what is going on. But particularly the 2 main characters, Pete, and I thought it was Gary the whole entire time, but it's Garrity, right?
Yeah, Garrity. He
Garrity?
looked at me after the movie and he goes, "Yeah, Gary, right?" And I was like, "What? No, not really. No, it's Garrity, but yeah, close."
But it's but I loved Garrity so much, and he was a phenomenal character in this, and Pete as well. I mean, Pete was probably the best character in the movie, but their relationship really carries this movie. And there's a ton of other side characters that I did like, the Musketeers sort of group, and that little friendship that builds as the walk goes along. But Pete and Garetti's characters are just absolutely phenomenal. The writing's great for them. They have these great intimate moments together, talking about what they're going to do if they win. And I thought overall that carried the movie, and that's what kept me excited to see what's going to happen at the end. Some of this was obvious what was going to happen for certain characters, but those 2 really carried the bulk of the movie for me. Do you think that's do you agree with me on that stance?
I would agree with you on that. I mean, and looking at this, we've talked about it all season long. Horror films nowadays are not so focused on, trying to think of the best way to say this, but the atypical, you have to just be scary, grotesque, and super violent to be a horror movie. And instead, they're focusing on, we want to tell the absolute best stories that we possibly can. And so one of the things that we went with quite the group today, we had 2 tag-alongs, Mac, who has shown up here before, and Brett's roommate. And some of the comments that were made immediately after we left was, "Oh, it was too long." I'm going to say right
It's called The
now,
Long Walk.
it's called The Long Walk. It's supposed to feel long. If it felt like a really, really short movie, I think that it does the story a little bit of an injustice. It's not supposed to feel like, oh, it's over. It's supposed to feel a bit long. It's supposed to feel a little bit drawn out. And this is what gives you the kind of character development that we get. Because when you start out, you're focusing on Raymond Garrity and his relationship with his mother and the fact that his father's not around, which at the beginning of the story, you don't really know why that is. And the fact that basically he's risking everything and she is breaking down, and it's a super emotional moment to start the movie. And then before we even get the title screen, they set the tone of how serious this walk is by, we get our first walker stopped and he gets shot, and that's it. And then you get your title screen and you go, okay, so stopping really is like a big deal. They're not messing around. If you stop, you die. The end. And then you get the long, continuous process of the long walk. It's very true to its own title. But along this walk, you see these people start to develop interpersonal relationships with one another. Specifically, the Four Musketeers is a group we focus on, but we also get some from sort of the antagonist, the bully of the group. He's a little racist, he's a little homophobic, he's a little bit of everything yuck. And we also get some from a couple other atypical characters in a movie where you have like the meathead, the fitness jockey, the quiet loner, the kid who's, not really meant to be there but showed up anyway. But these giant list
the lad that's trying to write a book.
the lad that's chasing infamy in a competition where you win so much money that you would never know what to do with all the wealth. But the fact of the matter is that throughout this journey, throughout every cramp, food, water, dead animal carcass, random stranger on the road, and every little conversation, these relationships are built up. And I think if they did it too quickly, then you get to the end of this journey, and we'll get there in a little while, but you get to the end of the journey and what happens, and you go, I don't really care, because you haven't spent any of these times with these characters having these moments. Garrity never shares with Peter McVries his life story, how he lost his father, and how he lost his father because he was teaching him things from the old world before the war, before all of these new rules and establishments. Raymond never gets to hear about Peter McVries' life, where both of his parents were dead before he was even old enough to remember them. How he spent time on the streets, on the run, getting beat and starving and running away from government officials before getting put in housing where he was assaulted and hospitalized by a guy with a knife. And you never get to hear about any of this other stuff. You don't get to get any of these character development moments. And so it was the biggest part of the story, and it was the most important part of the story. So I 100% agree, and I think it was the most essential thing for this film. The scenes of violence, and I'm going to get into some nitpicky things with that in a minute, but they were good. They benefited the film, but where it really shone was this character development and the conversations. And to your point, if the writing was bad, 80% of the movie is their conversations. If the writing is bad, it would have been awful.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, if this was written by anybody else, I don't even care what author. You could pick probably the best author of all time. I feel like Stephen King and the way he tells a story, just by his previous projects and previous work, I feel like it's perfect for his style. And I just don't think anybody else could pull this off, like, for a movie. And obviously the director has something to do with that, but like the writing of the novel and the original material, definitely, you could just definitely tell it carried a huge portion of this movie.
Absolutely. And when you have characters that have to bear the weight of that, having the source material, having the original dialogue, having all of this other stuff be a really strong base to build from, it's essential. The violence. Some of it was really, really, really good. One of the things that we all kind of laughed at in the theaters was when there was a particular character antagonizing another, and he goes to take
Yeah.
a punch at him. And after missing this punch, he slides about 10 feet on the asphalt and scrapes up his entire face and shoulder.
It made no sense.
It makes
the physics of it just did not make any sense.
I know
I
you're
was like,
walking
that's
3 miles
ridiculous.
an hour, but like, come on, okay? Like,
Yeah.
listen, I've fallen on the road before, and sure, I've even fallen on my on my road before and like scraped up my knee or my shoulder or something. But like, I've never taken off half my face falling on the road somewhere before. Like,
it was baffling. And
somebody rolled their ankle and it broke their like leg in half, and I'm like, all right, so like some of that stuff is a bit over exaggerated.
It's just they could have gone a better way about showing the broken ankle. I want to talk about the broken ankle because that just ticked me off. I was like, and it actually leads into like one of the parts I love the most about the movie and where I was brought in and I was like, okay, this is for real. Is when the incline hits and Raymond Garrity ends up getting 2 warnings. Like, I think he might have gotten a 3rd warning. So it was like, if he F's up again, he is going to get shot. Stakes are already high. Peter's trying to basically like pull him alive. He's like getting on it, and he's kind of wavering. Then an incline hits, and people are struggling, and you have to speed walk up this incline and this hill. And it's high pace, it's high intensity, and everything is happening all at once. And then one of the characters ends up rolling his ankle, but it like they took a shot of him, and you can see him like. You can just see it's like kind of terrible editing. I'm not going to lie. Like, see him take a step and then his ankle just roll in half. I'm like, just show, all you have to do is show like a pothole easily. Pothole, something. He's getting chased. Maybe look back. Boom, he steps on a pothole, rolls his ankle. That's it. When you just show him like roll and break his ankle like out of nowhere, it kind of took me out of it a little bit. At least just his character. And I'm like, well, he's dead. You know what I mean? Like when certain things happen like that in the movie, you're just like, okay, well, you're gone. So that is what I probably didn't like the most. The goriness of it, 100%. Like I would probably give that a high rating. It's if you want to,
and I give him a lot of credit,
like, gory and suspenseful,
because like they didn't. A lot of these movies will like turn the camera or do a lot of things off screen or put them way in the distance.
Yeah.
And this movie, wanting you to feel the intenseness of everybody's death, put it all in your face. Not for the effect of, oh gosh, we just need to be over the top to be over the top, but because you spent so much time getting to know these characters, and the characters that are left are experiencing their deaths right in front of you. And so the effect of that kind of camera work and that sort of editing is, I want you to viscerally experience it like they would be experiencing it right in front of you. And so that was great. I mean, it really kind of brings you into that. No, it's kind of happening like right in front of them as they're walking, and they're not able to stop or take a moment or pause, or that you kind of just have to keep going.
I can act like all tough and whatever, like, oh, this movie wasn't that, but it didn't matter. When you knew somebody was going to get shot, you knew you were going to see it. You didn't know when it was going to happen, but as soon as it happens, you're still startled. Like, I mean, it's just your natural reaction as a human being. And I think the after effect was the strongest part of the characters and of the writing of the movie. Like when somebody dies, then you see in Goretti's character a lot. He's like, I'm so done with this. I am so done doing this right now. I'm losing so many people. And Peter, like you see the Musketeers, like they're all impacted by this a lot because at first when they start this, you know, everyone's in it for themselves a little bit, but then as they get to know each other, they're all kind of like taking this, let's do this together type of thing. And you as a person, as a viewer, you're like, oh my God, there's one winner. We all know they're probably going to pass on. Somebody's going to get killed. But it takes you literally, like, it makes it more impactful when you show the after effects and people having mental issues afterwards and people and you know, they're screaming and they're like, I can't deal with this. And you see it on their face, you know, after, you know, mile 100, mile 120, once they reach 200, you know, the after effects, the mental impact it takes and the mental toll it takes on the characters every time somebody dies. I thought that was a huge strong point in the film and made me care a lot. And it set up for when we got down to kind of the final and third act for some great moments that really captured me emotionally. And I think other people would like as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say my two most impactful deaths in this was Hank, which,
yes,
I mean, he's chewing gum, which is, you know, it's such a small detail, but he has the same little piece of gum from when he starts the journey. And then on day 3, he's having this conversation with him and he goes, you know, gosh, this gum is just disgusting. And everybody around him is going, you're still chewing that same piece of gum? And he goes, well, it's like a metaphor. You know, when the gum dies, so do I.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
It's kind of a beautiful metaphor. And, you know, you see at about day 4.5, he goes to take the gum out of his mouth, and instead of seeing him put it back in his pocket, he is delirious, he is exhausted, he's everything else, and you sort of don't see where he puts it, and he just doesn't have it for the rest of the movie. And eventually he just gives up, and he turns around, he starts walking back towards the back truck, and one of the other 4 musketeers goes back to go and get him. Yeah. And because, I mean, Hank is just, he called out for him. And so he just goes over there and he just holds him in the street and is just sitting there with him. And Garrity goes back and just picks the guy up and shoves him along. And it's one of the most emotional moments of the film because it's the camaraderie that they've built. They've become actual friends. They truly do care about each other, and they're bonding through all of this trauma and going through all of this together, all trying to just improve their lives and get to a better standing point. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, him sitting there behind really doesn't do anything for him except get both of them shot in the street. And
exactly,
it was a super huge moment. And one of the others is not a death, but it's when he sees his mom walking through his hometown.
Yeah, that's very emotional.
It killed me. I mean, at first he looks like he's doing just fine. His shoe comes apart in the street and he's not, you know, he kind of just kicks the shoes off and goes, you know what? Just gonna have to walk the rest of the way without him. I kind of thought maybe in the back of my mind, like seeing his mom there, he might look over at his mom and be like, hey, can you duck into a store really quick and just toss me a pair of shoes or something? But he sees his mom and she doesn't say much to him. She just kind of waves to him. She's keeping it really well together. He looks like he's keeping it really well together. And then he kind of just twitches a little backwards. And Peter sees this and he goes, nope. Don't go back there. And then before you know it, Garrity is running back over and she starts freaking out because if they step on the concrete off the asphalt, immediately they get shot, no warning. And he's taking warning after warning, just trying to talk to her. And he's yelling, screaming apologies. They're both breaking down in tears. And before Peter finally hauls him back onto the road and explains his backstory to him. And it's just, It's one of the most emotionally impactful moments in the entire film. And it's scenes like that that just make this film as good as it is. Stuff like that is so small,
Exactly.
and that whole scene, both scenes I just described take 45 seconds of time in total.
Yeah.
But they're so good, and they bring so much weight and so much story and so much everything to the film that you go, you know what, I don't even care that I'm having to sit and mostly just watch him walk, because that's all they were doing in this scene as well. But man, I got so much story out of it. And they're still just walking.
Yeah.
That's it. And
Yeah.
you have to have good
And
characters and good story to be able to make such a simple concept be so executable.
and Cooper Hoffman, I mean, what a legend. Kid actually killed it as Raymond Garrity. I mean, he was a huge strength in the film, and I love it. Another death that killed me the most was probably Arthur's, and he was the person that went back for Hank, and his death like ended up killing me because his nose just starts bleeding. And this is a spoiler. Oh my god! Like whatever. If you're this far into the podcast and you don't know, like whatever. But it's
Sorry, we spoil every
his
movie we
nose.
talk about. Okay, you know what? We're gonna just start. I'm gonna put a giant big red spoiler sticker on our thumbnail, so that way
Might
it's
as
like
well.
not a surprise to anybody anymore. We spoil every movie.
Oh my god!
It is what it is.
But Arthur ends up his nose starts bleeding, and I think they call it like a brain hemorrhage or something. But whatever like was happening
it's an
to him.
internal sinus hemorrhage. Yeah.
Yeah, and his monologue just killed me. It was so personal with Peter and Garrity, and it killed me, man. And it was so beautiful and so well done. And I thought it was one of the best executed moments of the film, because when you get down to those last stages, they really are just like dropping like flies, and they know who is in the best stance or situation to win. And Arthur's death just absolutely killed me emotionally, and it was awesome, and it really honestly kind of pulled me back into the final act of the film, and like made me kind of like feel like, damn, like we went through like this whole entire movie, like everyone having these great moments, and like obviously everybody deteriorates. You see the characters deteriorate at slowly but surely, but you know, seeing his like hearing his monologue and hearing how much they cared about each other, and then him promising like, don't look back, just don't watch them do it to me, and then like him letting go. Oh my goodness. And then Garrity just being like, you were a really good friend, like, and Peter was like, you were a really good friend, and it was brutal. And I think that's where like we're talking about, where it's those moments and the writing of Stephen King, just it comes to life, and you can see why he has so many movies and people are trying to adapt his books, because the characters are so well written that if you get it right, it really hits like the audience like emotionally so much. And it really hit me like in that particular scene. I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes. And like obviously the uphill part, because you know, the hill part really like that's where it picked up for me, and that's where the stakes went up to like its maximum. So that part really killed me a lot. If we're gonna talk about deaths, I think another thing that I just want to like bring to light here, the trailer. This is an example of, in my opinion, a bad trailer. It's a bad trailer. Okay, we watch a trailer, and I know I said in the beginning, me and Gavin were both excited, but when you have that good of a trailer, I guess in some ways they gave up way too much, and they showed way too much. And really for me, when I'm watching the movie, I already knew there was going to be characters that were going to be dying because of the trailer. And I understand you have to show, you know, what is at stake, and, you know, kind of get people hyped up to see the movie. And I think it did, because I think a lot of people went to go see this movie. There was creative screenings for it. I thought it was marketed very well. But you cannot show me, you know, multiple scenes with a movie like with the rules as simple as this. If you go off the path, you die. Okay? If you slow down less than 3 miles, you die. If you show me somebody sitting down, grabbing their head, being like, oh my God, and then a gun is going at them, I know they're going to die. So in the beginning of the movie, you're seeing all these characters kind of drop like flies. Half of them are shown in the trailer. So it's, in that sense, I wish this movie did not do, I wish the trailer did not do that. I wish the trailer would have kept, I wish the trailer would have done a better job at hiding that fact from me. Because if I would have went to this movie not kind of knowing because I'd never read the book. I mean, I have barely read any of Stephen King's adaptations, but I love his movies and I love his writing and I love when people try and adapt his stuff to the movie screen. But I felt like he gave a little too much. And for me, it took away sort of the intensity and the suspense of the movie. And that sucked. But I'm not going to say it took everything away from the movie, because we got great characters, we got great writing, we got great moments. It's a good movie, but the trailer does not help this. And I think it takes away that beginning part until the title sequence. I think it takes away a lot of it. And there's a couple of freakouts with side characters that you kind of feel like are going to drop off at some point in the movie, and you're just not surprised when they die. So I thought that was, a really good example of a bad trailer right there, because although it was good, I thought, and creative and gets you hyped for the movie, when you watch the movie, you know what's going to happen. And I think that's a pure example of it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and they do so much stuff in this movie as far as, threats and the rules and everything else that a trailer that shows a little less would have been a lot better. Because you can still show some of these intense moments, because there are plenty of moments from a soldier's perspective, or even some moments where they're shooting somebody from way far off, that you still could have shown some of those intense moments in the trailer and not let it be dead giveaways for, hey, this guy's dying real early, just so that way you know. And in a movie like this, I understand that what the story really ends up being is that it's about Peter and Raymond. But I want to not know some of these things before heading into the movie. I want to be kept on the edge of my seat as much as possible. And where some of the suspense that's building is who's going to die when. If I've seen 7 out of the 15 people that are kind of headlining as the main side characters in this movie die in the trailer, I'm not so worried about who's dying. I'm picking the guy or 2 guys that I think are going to make it through to the end, and I'm going to focus on them. Not that I don't care about Stubbins or Arthur or Gary or Hank or Richard or whatever in their character development, but Curly, we see die in the trailer. I distinctively remember seeing him die in the trailer. So when I saw him show up at the main check-in point at the beginning of the movie, and they were making a big deal about his character, I went, well, I don't care. I don't know how he's going to die,
we already know his ending.
How long it's going to be into the movie, but I know he's not living. I mean, we watch him get shot in the trailer. So bummer, but you're not a guy to focus on. So there's something to be said, especially when these movies are so built on suspense and things like that, that not showing too much is exactly what you want to do. Shelby Oaks is great. I don't know. We saw that trailer before this movie. But I don't know who the main antagonist is. I don't know who's taking anybody. I don't know if it's a ghost story. I don't know if it's a witch story. I don't know if it's a vampire story. I don't know if it's a cult story. I just know that it's supposed to be creepy and her sister's gone missing in a town near Shelby Oaks. Okay, perfect. That's what I want from a trailer. I want to know it's going to be intense. I want to know it's going to be scary. I want to know who kind of the main characters that I'd like to be involved in are. and then I don't want you to tell me anything else. That's it. That's all I want to know.
Or show me.
Right. Or show me.
And hide behind the creative elements of editing. Obviously, I'm being a freaking stupid little critic right now and complaining, but like, hide behind that. Give me a very cryptic, horror suspenseful trailer. And, you know, anytime somebody sees written by Stephen King on the front, you know, certain people are going to go see it. They love Stephen King movies. It's a whole entire franchise, basically. You know, his books and his adaptations. So, you know, he's got a decently big fan base, especially with like The Shining, Doctor Sleep, things of that nature. So I think if you sold it on that front more of written by Stephen King, and then kept everything super vague, then we're all going to be surprised. And then the suspense is going to really pick up. And I thought it just didn't help the movie at all. But it wasn't the worst thing in the world because it was kind of just the beginning and like obviously some side characters that we knew were going to pass on. It was just a matter of when. But I don't think it ruined the movie by any means, but it definitely hurt the movie for sure and made the movie a little obvious in some scenes. But overall, the movie itself, really good character development. You know, not the most action-packed movie, not the best like most suspenseful movie, but overall, good movie, good story. Wish I would have gotten more of Mark Hamill, but I'll take what I got. You know, I'm glad they focused on who they focused on, and it was a good movie.
Was indeed. So, what is your rating for this? And then following your rating for this, what would you say your top 3 Stephen King movies are?
Okay. For this one, I was kind of debating on what my score was going to be. I was debating on 7.8 or 8. I'm going to give it an 8. Mainly because now that we were talking about it more, and reflecting back on like certain moments, I really did like the comedy in this. The writing was great. The character development was awesome. I've, you know, preached those to the highest choir, but like the emotional moments really did hit for me. And it kept me locked in throughout the film. And, you know, the ending was left up to kind of interpretation a little bit, but I kind of like that. But it kind of didn't really resolve anything. I wish I would have learned more afterwards, after he does the fact. I'm not going to like probably spoil the ending like right away, but that's up to you. But I give it an 8. I thought it was a really good time at the movies. I thought it was an interesting concept. I think Stephen King's writing really carries this movie, and I love the acting in it. And I love Peter and Garrity's relationship. I think that carries the movie really hard. And that's what I probably love the most about it is probably the character development, the relationships built, and then the aftermath of losing those characters, losing those friendships, and how they dealt with that. And overall did a good job at keeping my attention for something that is so simple of like people just walking. Because I said it before we watched the movie. I was like, are we really just going to watch an hour and a half of people just walking? And you were like, that's all they're going to do. They're just going to walk. And I was like, yeah, like, but there was a lot more interesting elements like freakouts, its take on mental health. And yeah, it showed us a lot. So I'd give it an 8. My top 3 Stephen King movies. I'm not the biggest horror guy in the world, but I have watched these movies before and I do love them. The Shining, up there, number 1, 100%. I love The Shining. I bought The Shining. And The Shining, me and my family have watched it multiple times together. Me and my family are big re-watchers of movies. I love The Shining. Thought Jack Nicholson's performance is phenomenal. Carries that movie all the way. Stanley Kubrick, love him as a director. Killed it. Probably put those actors through too much mental torture, but whatever. My second, it's going to be related to The Shining. It's going to be Dr. Sleep. I loved Dr. Sleep. I thought Ewan McGregor's performance was amazing. Now I need to rewatch it. It's been a while. It's been like years since I've watched the movie, but I remember watching it and being like, I can't believe people like didn't talk about this more. I thought it was an awesome sequel to The Shining. I thought it was great. I think a lot of people went to go see it because it was related to The Shining, but when I watched it during COVID, I loved it. And I was like, dude, that was a great movie. Like, oh my God, it was a little long, but overall, it was a great sequel to The Shining. I thought it was great. And then, of course, the obvious one, number 3 is It. I mean, it horrified me. Horrified me as a kid. I could not believe both adaptations I loved.
No clown birthday party for you?
No, not at all.
Are you sure we could set that up for this year?
Oh my God. Absolutely horrendous.
We all flew down
but
here.
It still lives in my nightmares today. But no, it is one of those iconic movies that you have to go see, especially if you're a horror fan. And I think those are my top 3 for sure. And I'm interested to see what more adaptations like are done. But I feel like a lot of Stephen King books are getting made into movies now, which I like because it makes me want to go read the book and make me want to go read the original material and see, how it compares. And usually the books are always better, but, in some cases the movies are just as good. But yeah, those are my top 3 for sure. Love The Shining, love Dr. Sleep, and love It. I mean, even though it was horrifying and I could barely even deal with it when I was a kid,
what
the
about
remake
the book,
was
Georgie?
Stop. Not kidding. My brothers watched that movie a lot, and like every time I saw this stupid little boat going down the drain, I'm like, nope, get me out of this room right now.
But Georgie,
horrible.
We are friends now.
What are we doing right now,
what
are we
you
doing?
Want your boat, Georgie?
Stop. Give us your top 5.
Actually really
give
funny.
us your top 5.
I'll give you my top 5. It is my number 1, and I the only reason that I actually have any practice doing that voice is because my sister also hates clowns. She's terrified. So as the good brother that I am, I took it upon myself to try and perfect that voice so that
horrendous.
I could bother her with it. She hates it. As evidently, so do you. It's great. It's fantastic. Number 2 is Shawshank Redemption.
Oh my God, I'm such an idiot.
That's all right.
That's my number 1.
Okay. It's okay. It's all right. Shawshank is the only reason that it's not my number 1 in Stephen King is because it's not horror, and I really regard Stephen King as a primary horror and a secondary for other things.
And The Green Mile. I'm an idiot. Never mind.
Okay, yeah, I know. You're gonna hate my list now because number 3 is The Green Mile. It's an amazing movie. Amazing movie.
Oh my God.
4 is gonna be Carrie, because it's an instant classic. My mother loved that movie, and we used to watch it all the time together. It was one of her favorites. And the recent adaptation with Chloe Moretz actually was pretty good as well. I do like the original better, but both adaptations of the movie have done really well. And the number 5 is Boogeyman. The original scary movie that I ever watched was Boogeyman. And it, to this day, is still one of the scariest things, because I remember it being the reason why I couldn't sleep in a completely dark room at night. Because,
Jeez.
I mean, gosh, the lights went out and the boogeyman comes to get you, and I was like, cool, so my room will never be dark ever again. That's fine. Can't get me if it's always dark. So, yeah, no, Stephen King has so many great stories, so many great movies, proof by the fact that 2 out of the 5 on my list are not even horror films, and even the ones that are on my list
didn't even know that
also have great
my God,
stories.
That's so bad.
It's all good.
That's on me.
You're just diving into Stephen King. It's fine.
I mean, apparently I've been a huge fan of it. I mean, I didn't know.
You are. It's great news. It's great news. You're finding new passions.
Green Mile and
Shawshank, yeah.
The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption are like two of my like top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah, because they're
like, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's fantastic. As far as this movie goes, I'm giving it 8 too. As an EMT, it's kind of hard to gloss over some of the absolutely glaring bad physical representations that we get.
Yeah, they had to do a better job at that. That was right.
Yeah, I mean, especially when so much of the rest of the movie is as realistic as it was, to see some of that stuff, I was like, okay, but like, come on, what are we doing?
You gotta do a better job.
You gotta do a bit of a better job. I wish the trailer didn't spoil as much, but the interpersonal relationships, the character development, the way that they told this story was so good that when it comes to streaming, it'll definitely be something that I watch at least once every couple of years, if not once a year. And there are plenty of Stephen King movies like that. In the Tall Grass, 1922, The Shining. They're not, maybe the best movies of all time, excluding The Shining, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. But they're good movies, and these are good characters. And David Johnson and Cooper Hoffman absolutely carried this movie on their backs the entire way. The writing was fantastic, but man, they did such a good job. And they built such good on chemistry, friendship throughout this movie that by the end, I mean, the conversation between them about moving from reluctant friends to best friends to brothers was the most moving storyline of the entire movie. It absolutely
100%.
carries it for the whole thing. So, It was a really decent movie. I wish that there was a little more suspense involved. And, part of the reason that we complain about trailers, guys, is because we watch like the same trailers 45 times a year. So if you give away too much in your trailers, we're going to see it 45 times before we see your actual movie. Okay. That's
exactly.
about it.
I think that goes for everyone, honestly. Like, I mean, people that go see a lot of movies in the theaters, that just like happens naturally. But like, you can't just give away certain things like that, in my opinion. It's just inexcusable.
No disagreements. So, good movie, Stephen King. Thanks for making another banger. We really appreciate it. Next week, we're going to go see what's either going to be a banger or an absolute bust in Jordan Peele's next adaptation into the horror movie genre in Him, the football concussion, devil worshipping nonsense movie of terror.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I am curious to see what he does with it. It kind of looks like Will Smith's Concussion if it also had demons. So it'll be interesting, I expect, because it's Jordan Peele. It'll also be weird, but it should be a good watch. And then we're also going to be watching The Big Beautiful Journey with Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. So that will be...
Can't wait for that.
We've said it both times we've seen the trailer. And we've only seen the trailer twice, but oh my gosh, does it look like such a good movie.
Yeah, it looks like such a good movie. These are the type of movies I listen, just make a good, like, magical story. I love it. Take me out of the horror. How many horror movies have we seen in a row? I'm done. Show me love. Like, okay. Show me freaking musical.
I'm
done.
Wait. Okay, I want it on record because it is on record now. It's a part of this recording. I'm editing this so that way I can boost the volume for that particular clip. Brett said he's on board for musicals, which means that when we start talking about Wicked and he's complaining about Wicked, there will be absolutely no complaining. In fact, I'm going to clip this off. That is going to be one of our next shorts, is Brett saying, give me musicals. And the picture that's going to be there for musicals is going to be Wicked for good. All right? You guys heard it here
Stop.
first. Brett is excited for Wicked for Good. I'm so excited.
Whatever.
I'm so excited.
Whatever.
I'm so excited.
We're ending this. We're ending this podcast right now. I cannot deal with this, but we'll see what happens. You know, I guess I have to watch Wicked, but
He does.
you know, I love La La Land. You know, that's probably one. I love La La Land and Rocket Man. Those are two of my like favorite musicals of all time. But and Singing in the Rain too. But I go on. But it was a great movie. Great time at the movies. Cannot wait to see the next two, and that'll be fun. So listen to us review the next two coming up next week, and we'll see you then, lads.
See ya, lads.